Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. As you know, 1M1M is our first and only global virtual incubator accelerator in the world with the aim of helping 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue, build $1 trillion in global GDP, and 10 million jobs. Now, this mission is entirely predicated upon your success. So the only reason we are here, the only reason we do what we do is so that you are successful, and our success is 100% predicated upon your success as entrepreneurs. So this is our 235th roundtable. It's been going on for a long time. Actually, these roundtables predate the 1M1M program. This is the experiment that led us to the 1M1M program, and we started these roundtables back in the fall of 2008 when my first book in the Entrepreneur Journey series was being launched, and then the 1M1M program was launched at the beginning of 2010. Well, no, it was launched at the end of 2010. It was announced at the beginning of 2010. So, it has taken us a while to figure out how to do this. The roundtable is being recorded. You will have the recording available after the session to refer back to it. And if you're live tweeting the show, please use hashtag 1M1M. Our Twitter handles are at 1M by 1M, and mine is at Stromana. We push a lot of interesting content through the channel. All round recordings are available at the YouTube channel 1M1M Roundtables. It will also be available on our blog. So these are call-in instructions. We're not quite ready for call-ins quite yet. We have some very special programming in the beginning of the session today. I will tell you in a moment. This slide I will put back up later on when we are ready for call-in. Now, today we are celebrating our launch of the Carnival in the Cloud Entrepreneur Journeys book. And this month, we've had several sessions, several discussions with special guests to celebrate the cloud computing entrepreneurship boom, bonanza that we have been seeing in the last, several years. I would say it has accelerated more recently, but certainly it started back in 1999 when Salesforce.com and WebEx came into being. So this book kind of traces a lot of those very interesting entrepreneurs and companies that have come about. And today we have a very special guest here, Jason Lemkin from Storm Ventures. And Jason is one of those rare venture capitalists who actually have built a successful company. Jason has built a successful cloud venture called EchoSign, and some of you, I'm sure, have read the Entrepreneur Journey story that I did on Jason. That's when we met, actually, many years ago. And since then, EchoSign was acquired by Adobe, and Jason worked at Adobe to build that business for a while, and then eventually took the turn to become a VC. So welcome, Jason. It's great to have you.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
All right. Well, so folks, I think what you would be most interested in starting with is at least a small window into how Jason is looking back at his journey as an entrepreneur. So let's start with EchoSign, Jason. Now that you have so much experience behind you and you've had a chance to also consider the cloud landscape from a VC's point of view, what are your thoughts looking back on EchoSign, on what you did right, what you learned from that process, and what you can pass on to the entrepreneurs here who are potentially working on cloud ventures now?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many learnings. But if I had to look back on the single thing that I might have understood quantitatively, but I did not truly understand inside, was for these recurring revenue models, what it means that they compound, okay? So this is really key. You build some sort of web or mobile service that you charge, say, $5 a month for, You get your first 10 customers. It's so exciting. You're doing $50 a month. I don't care where you are in the world. $50 a month is not enough. it just doesn't work, right? And so my learning is for these recurring revenue models, the bad news is it can be really hard to get that engine going, right? It can be really hard to get the wheels spinning and get this whole thing going. But what I didn't realize is how it goes in phases. And I've since named these phases now that I can look back on it, but I had no idea what they were at the time. And there's a bunch of phases, but there's two key ones. This first one I call initial traction, and I've now met with 100 or 200 software as a service companies, and they all hit this moment at the same time. It's typically a little more than $1 million, a little past our 1 million point, a little past that 1 million, usually around $1.5 million in revenue. And what happens then is the revenue doesn't just recur, right? It is recurring, right? You have a truly repeatable business process, and the first engine that builds on top of itself. Usually when you get to like $1.5 million in revenue, you've got 100 or 1,000 customers. They start talking about you. The word of mouth starts happening. The upgrade thing starts happening, so they start buying more. And perhaps most importantly, and I wish I knew this looking back in time, at about this $1.5 million or so, you get what I call a mini brand, right? And the mini brand doesn't mean that anybody probably on this webinar has even heard of you, but what it does tend to mean is the handful of target customers that you might get, a lot of them start to hear about you. So I guess my learning is do whatever it takes humanly possible to get your business to 1.5 million, this 1 million, we call it 1 million, 1.5, somewhere in that zone. And then it doesn't really matter how long it takes. Some of us will get there super fast. Some of us will take many years. But once you get there, this recurring model thing starts to occur, right? And if you get to 1.5 million, you'll have the mini brand, you'll have 100 or 1,000 customers, you'll have a recurring growth rate. As long as you get there with some velocity, you'll get to 10 million, right? It might take you 3 years, it might take you 1 year, but as long as you don't quit, you'll get there. So this is kind of my couple learnings is one, don't die on the way to $1.5 million in revenue. Don't let yourself quit on the way to initial traction. And at a minimum, make sure you give yourself at least 2 years to get there, right? If you don't commit for 2 years in recurring revenue, you almost certainly won't get there and you'll fail, right? Don't give yourself a year. Don't give yourself 6 months or 9 months. I think it takes 2 years. And then the last one, we could chat forever, but once you hit that initial traction, all that really matters is building as much momentum as you can, right? Hiring a management team, right? Getting this engine going. Because the real key if you get to $1.5 million in revenue and you're growing, say, 100% year over year, 80%, 150%, mathematically you'll get to 10. But the faster you can get to 10 million, it's far less stressful and a far stronger and more redundant company that you'll have, right? So once you get to that initial traction, my number one piece of advice is stop taking out the garbage, okay? Stop doing low ROI things, okay? Stop kibitzing on the product. Stop messing around in sales deals you don't have to be involved in. Once you hit $1.5 million in revenue or initial traction, you have to do only high and medium ROI things. And that's the key to kind of get you to 10 million, right? These are the things I wish I knew. And maybe the last one is I'll tell you, and this is why operationally, if not financially, I've sold at the worst possible time you could sell a company, okay? Which is when you really get to initial scale, when you get to the 8 figures in revenue, when you get to 10 million run rate or $1 million a month, you just can't be killed, right? And as entrepreneurs, we're always paranoid, right? We're always worried about competition and the world changing, and all of a sudden there's some crazy new device or something and we die. If you sell to businesses and you solve their problems and you get to 10 million, you cannot be killed. You just cannot be killed. So that is the kind of time when it all just comes together at 10 million. You have the right team, you have the energy, you have the brand, and actually that's when the real magic really starts to happen. So I sort of learned these stages to summarize.
Jason, am I hearing that when you look back on EchoSign, you feel that you sold too early?
I don't. I think it was by the standards of July 15th, 2011. I think it was a lucrative and fair financial transaction. What I didn't realize until I got into Adobe is that the team would accelerate after that. Okay, I didn't realize that the team was just getting good. okay, that this team was coming into its own and coming into its prime. And when you have a great team, once they cross what I call initial scale, this 10 million, once you have the brand established, once the leads just are flowing in every day, no matter what the world throws up against you, right, you cannot be killed, right? And the acceleration that I saw after Adobe, and Adobe's great, but it really had nothing to do with the brand for the first 12 months. It all had to do with the team and a little more capital and fat on the system. And then I just saw it. So, and I couldn't see it before. I couldn't see it at $1 million a month in revenue, but I saw it just vividly as soon as the stress of making payroll, right, and the stress of all of this went away. Then I had this clarity. I'm like, boom, this thing can just accelerate no matter what is happening in the rest of the world, right? No matter what any other vendor or what anybody else says, it doesn't matter once you're at 10 million growing 100% or more. No one can stop you.
So let me bring a little bit of perspective from our program. We do have many companies that have actually hit the 1 million, 2 million, 3 million point at this point. In fact,
yes.
One of the big players, actually this competes with one of your portfolio companies, is at 10 million. This is Freshdesk.
Yeah.
They have, pardon?
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Freshdesk has hit 10 million, and they have 30,000 customers, so this one is moving very well. Now,
yes.
However, we obviously deal in huge volume. We have a very large community of entrepreneurs, and we have a very large international community of entrepreneurs. So
yeah.
One thing, and I'm going to underscore this for everybody who's listening around the world, the pace of adoption is not the same. Here in Silicon Valley, sitting here, we can say hitting 1 million, 1.5 million in 2-year time is realistic. It is not necessarily realistic around the world. So if you're building a company in India or Buenos Aires or South Africa, these numbers have to be scale adjusted to fit the realities of your market. And
yes.
Actually selling to the global market and you're using online customer acquisition mechanisms, in which case things do often accelerate. Freshdesk did get to, those numbers fairly quickly and has accelerated at the Silicon Valley pace. But that is not true about all companies. And of course, the ones who are bootstrapping and who do not have a lot of marketing dollars to work with, who have to be very creative about customer acquisition, you have to take those realities into account. But I think the point that Jason is making is interesting, is that whatever it takes, however long it takes, you have to stay with it. You cannot give up. If you give up, then the game is lost, and you have to start over again. If you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you give up, you've lost it. And that's
yes.
no good.
Even more, my learning was, and I was confused when we started EchoSign back in the early days of Web 2.0, but people still do this. They confuse B2C, consumer, and B2B for businesses, especially if they have like a premium or low-end service, as many international plays do, right? If you're building something for consumers and you want to build the 78th version of Twitter, okay, if you don't hit it in a year, you just throw the thing away because you need this epic viral loop to make it happen. But if you're selling to businesses, you're going to need a minimum of 24 months, just whatever your scale is, whether you're in India or San Francisco. I know it's going to take you 24 months just to figure it out, how to sell a product, right? Not get a user. Selling a product is much harder than getting a user, right? And then selling a product and getting that customer to recommend you to another customer, that just takes time. And if you give yourself 12 months, your odds are about 1 in 1,000, right? Or whatever it is. If you give yourself 24 or 30 months, your odds go up an order of magnitude, right? Just because it takes time to get someone to buy something, right? But maybe if you make the world's most perfect free game, boom, you've got the next Flappy Birds. But it never happens in B2B.
Right, and also in general, because we deal in huge numbers and we deal in a global environment, we tend to advise people not to play that valuation without revenue game. Trying to hit some sort of a luck stroke that is going to get you a great acquisition where your business model is really your exit strategy. We try to not play that game, and it's too unpredictable. You can't really plan for anything. It's just not viable.
You can't plan for it. Yeah, you can't plan for it.
So,
yeah. I will say though, just for another learning, just on your theme. So I do now work with a lot of companies that sell across the world, and there are more and more fresh desks, right? I'm an investor and work closely with a company called Pipedrive that'll soon cross 10 million. The vast majority of its revenue is outside of the U.S., right? Half of it is in emerging companies. It'll do 10 million, right? I invested in a company called TalkDesk that'll hit 5 million this year. It's out of Portugal, and by next year, almost the vast majority of its revenue will be North America, but comes out of these markets. So I agree with you, but I think actually all the stuff is getting more exciting, right? It's all getting more global. All the markets are bigger. So I know that if you've got a web app in Venezuela today, your market is smaller than it is if you're in San Francisco. But everything is bigger, right? Competition is harder, but all markets for software as a service are bigger than they were just a couple of years ago.
And they continue to be bigger because there is a lot more software adoption happening all over the world. You know, last week we had a session that was focused on what's happening in the Indian cloud market, which is a very active market right now. And there's a company called Graytip that has built up quite a bit of scale, actually. It's a bootstrap company that has built up all this scale, and it has taken them many years. This is like a 15-year story. And they're the equivalent of PayCycle, you know, payroll processing. And they're selling the per user fee for Graytip is 30 cents. So it's a completely different ballgame in terms of, you know, pricing model and what is a profitable customer acquisition strategy. All these numbers are completely different when you change the pricing to that extent.
Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts? Of course, everything is bigger. The number of customers all around the world is bigger. The number of competitors all around the world is bigger. Where do you see good, you know, where can you point our entrepreneurs to look for good opportunities? So we've had a few of these discussions. Brian Jacobs from Emergence Capital was here a couple of weeks ago. And that conversation highlighted that, you know, when these guys have been doing SaaS right from the beginning.
He was one of my investors.
Right. So Brian is a great investor in that firm. Emergence Capital is an excellent investor in the SaaS area. So his observation, which I agree with, is that a lot of the obvious opportunities have kind of saturated, you know, the horizontal.
I don't agree at all. But keep going. I'll tell you why. But okay, all the obvious stuff is saturated. So, yeah.
Anyway, so my question to you is, what is your observation? What is your analysis of the market?
Yeah. First of all, I love Brian. We just did a great session together at Dreamforce. But let me have, if you'd asked me 28 months ago, I would have agreed that everything's saturated. You know, you may remember right after the Yammer acquisition, David Sachs did this sort of epic tweet saying all the good stuff had already been done, right? I don't know if you remember that. I'm sure it's felt like that to a lot of us about 24 or months ago. But let me challenge that and then answer the question in two ways. Ramana, can you still hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, good. So first of all, let's step back for a minute. So yes, all the categories, CRM, ERP, expense management, these have all been done in our multi-million-dollar businesses. Yeah. But my learning, and I think this is especially relevant to some of the audience that we're chatting about, is once these spaces get really big, there's a huge amount of room at the bottom, right? So Salesforce is on its way to doing $10 billion in recurring revenue. And that means that the bottom 10% of the market, it won't even touch, right? That's $1 billion a year in recurring revenue. And the next bottom 10% above that, it will barely try to touch because Salesforce is all trying to do 8- and 9-figure deals now. So you can build 10 or 20 IPO-able companies in CRM in spaces that Salesforce isn't even touching, right? And this pattern will repeat itself as these spaces get bigger. So I think that that was true as sort of Salesforce was going to $1 billion or something, but it's so big now that there's room for 20 or 30 IPOs in CRM alone. So that's number one. What's that?
The other in CRM, right? There is Zoho, which is doing very well.
There's Zoho, which was early, but you'll turn around, there's so many. Where the heck did Zendesk come from, right? Zendesk was another $100 million opportunity that it wasn't, at the time, it was too small for Salesforce to even worry about, right? There'll be more. There'll be Zoho. There'll be Pipedrive we talked about. There'll be Base CRM. There'll be Sugar CRM, which will IPO with 9 figures in revenue, right? And none of them have to dethrone Salesforce. None of these have to dethrone Salesforce. None of them will even nick Salesforce's momentum, right? Because there's so much room at the bottom, right? So it's just one, I think it's hard to take Salesforce on directly. RelateIQ tried and got bought for $400 million, so pretty good. But there's so much room at the bottom and on the side as these spaces have gotten 10 times larger, right? So I wouldn't fear to take on the incumbents for that reason, especially at least as an entrepreneur. Might be harder to get funded. And then secondly, what I'm seeing, and I'm sure Brian maybe you brought it up as well, and I'm sure you're seeing it, the next generation of software as a service, B2B apps we're seeing today that are taking off are sort of generally replacing paper or Excel or Word or email. And the last generation of apps, the Salesforces and all of these, generally replaced software, right? The obvious version, Salesforce, Siebel, et cetera, right? Workday, PeopleSoft, right? But what's happening now, because software is everywhere, is every vertical, every industry is creating a system of record in SaaS, right? Whether it's printing or web designers or T-shirt manufacturers, it doesn't matter. All of these industries are so big that they're developing a system of record, and their replacement is almost always some janky Excel email type tool. So I get excited. I meet more and more entrepreneurs that I'm amazed that have gotten to that $1 million, $1.5 million in revenue, and their competition is paper, right?
Right.
So, and those business segments often were not big enough a couple of years ago until every business segment was webified, and now they can all be 9-figure businesses.
So what you've said, Concur is one of the best examples of replacing paper that has built a very, very valuable company and just got acquired went public on its own, did well in the public market, actually made the shift from being a licensed software company to a cloud company as a public company, which was very difficult to do, and then did very well as a public company for a while, and now recently just got acquired by SAP for $8.5 billion. So
yes, and so for Concur, right?
Concur, yeah.
And you might look at Concur and say, how could I possibly compete? But what's Concur doing now, like 600 million or 800 million run rate? Something like that?
Yes. Yes.
So there's plenty of room at the bottom that you and I can get together, and we can build an $80 million, $100 million business in the space, and SAP won't even notice.
Right. Expensify actually is...
Expensify, yeah.
Exactly that, and that's...
And as cool as Expensify is, though, you and I today, so SAP is going to buy Concur. They're going to focus on the largest customers. Concur is very enterprise, right? I mean, as a corporate vice president at Adobe, I had to use it every day. It was torture, but I had to use it. And we can build another Expensify if we wanted it. If it was epic, if it was 10 times better, we can build a $100 million business today because SAP won't even bother with that part of the market.
Fair enough. And this whole thing about the low end of the market is very interesting for this global entrepreneurship, because this is
I think so.
Segment of the market where you don't have to sell in person. It has to be marketing. It cannot be sales. You have to acquire customers online. And that you can do from anywhere in the world. You don't need to be in Silicon Valley to do these businesses. And this, by the way, is the genesis of Freshdesk. They were acquiring customers. They went to many, tens of thousands of customers before coming to set up their headquarters in San Francisco.
Absolutely. I meet with so many entrepreneurs, generally in the Bay Area, but they just come here. They're from outside of the Bay Area, right? And I quickly try and figure out where their price point is, right? Because they struggle to think, what do I need to do with the sales team? Do I need a VP of sales? Well, if you're selling for $10 a month or $5 or $1 or 30 cents or 20, you don't need to be in Silicon Valley. Now later you'll want to be, right? You'll want local people to do support and customer success and maybe even marketing later and stuff, but you do not need to be in Silicon Valley, right? If you're selling enterprise deals, there is a real advantage, right? To being able to drive over to close the deal with Cisco or Google or whatever, the 7-figure deal, the $500,000 a year deal. If your VP of sales isn't here and your competition is, you're in trouble. But for the low end, grow it anywhere, right? No one cares Atlassian's in Australia. No one cares about Freshdesk. And no one cares that 92% of Pipedrive is in Estonia.
Right. BigCommerce has become very big from Australia, actually. That's an excellent company that is dominating the e-commerce merchants market very nicely.
But you don't see a lot of those that are truly enterprise plays, right? Real enterprise. They tend to be mid-market and below.
We have to sell in person, and that's where you need kind of the experienced sales forces and so forth. So we've actually seen companies come from elsewhere and set up shop in either in Silicon Valley or in some cases in Boston as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Prefer to set up headquarters in Boston just because the Europe to East Coast commute and time difference is more compatible. So we're seeing all of those. Sitecore is a good one from Denmark. There are many of these. Now in the low end, there's one case study that I really like, and it has scaled extremely fast. Is a more recent company called Marketo that is already IPO'd. It was founded in about 2006.
Yep, I know them well. Yep, John Miller did an event with me on how to hire a VP of marketing. It's a great case study. But they're pretty enterprise today.
That's enterprise, but if you look at Marketo, the need for that technology, that workflow and everything is all through the mid-market, all through the small businesses. Lead nurturing as a process, all of us have to do. So, so this is a company that, if you're talking about doing an arbitrage of an enterprise concept and implementing it for the low end of the market, Marketo would be a great concept to do that with.
Yeah, and we can see the broad marketing automation space has many vendors today, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably not fair, but to simplify, let's call HubSpot a lower-end Marketo competitor, even though HubSpot does different things and more, right? Amazing founders, amazing team. They were able to have a great IPO last month in Boston without a true enterprise-type sales team, and they don't need to be in the Bay Area. And there are many others. Acton happens to be in the Bay Area, but they could have been anywhere, and they built like a $40 million business at the low end of the market. But I do think Marketo, which is now closing 7-figure deals, they have a huge advantage being in the Bay Area as a contrast.
Acton, by the way, started in Oregon. We have had
Oregon, yeah. It took them a while. I'll tell you, the CEO, you probably interviewed him, right? I don't know if you did. You know what the real secret to Acton is? Going to our earlier theme, this is just my guess, but I remember speaking with him at events back in 06 and 07. He didn't quit.
Yeah, we have the Acton case study. It's a great case study, and
great case study.
Excellent case study. So these are good examples. But and you mentioned HubSpot. HubSpot is still very expensive for very small businesses. No,
it is. It is.
HubSpot being okay for SMB, still there's a small business opportunity to do HubSpot, actually. Whether it's a concept arbitrage on HubSpot or a concept arbitrage on Marketo, for the very low end of the market is still open.
Yeah,
all right.
I agree.
Jason, any other last things that you want to share?
I think it's great. I think for the entrepreneurs that are getting going, give yourself a lot of time, be patient, and I know we all know this is obvious, but just shower those early customers with love, right? They'll build your brand and you'll learn from them, and there's nothing more important. Spend more time, as hard as it is in the early days, on the customers you have rather than trying to acquire new ones.
Awesome. So, Jason, we're going to start the mentoring, and I believe you're going to stay for at least a few minutes of that, yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, first presenter is Dan Cohen from Montreal. Dan, if you could unmute your line and tell us what you're up to, that would be great.
Hi, everybody, and thank you, Sharmana, and thank you, Jason, for the talk. it's great to hear the perspective on what's happening in the software as a service industry at large. It's an industry I've been in and out of for many years, so it's good to hear what's going on.
What are you up to then?
Well, Accelerated Ventures has actually been working on investing in the life sciences field, but that side of the business is sort of running on automatic pilot because these are very long-term investments in very long-term projects. And so in the interim time, we thought we'd get back to our roots and do one or two startups of our own again. So we pulled one of the ideas out, and two of the partners have decided to put their energy into it. One of it is called RaisedDigital. This is a new product that's still in the seed stages, and it is in the field of parental control software, but bringing that industry into software as a service and giving it a little bit of an evolutionary boost. So if we go to the next slide, I'll go into a little bit more detail. For those of us who have children at home, you know, the kids in a household, and I'm going to focus on the North American market because it's the one we've studied the most carefully. The kids between the ages of 5 and 15, you know, they go to school, and you know, whether the parents are together or separated, whether they live in high-income or low-income households, or whether not relative to the age of the parents or their educational background, the kids have access to a great deal of online media and resources. They have cable TV in the house, they have smart TV, they have Apple TV or Redbox or one of the competitors. They have access to a personal computer and or a laptop and or a tablet. They have a smartphone. Usually the smartphone consumption for kids over the age of 11 is now nearly 100% in many of our markets. And according to the research worldwide, they're spending, again, depending on the country, an average of about 350 minutes in front of the screen per day. Now, from a parent's perspective, they know that some of these things are normal, or many of them are normal, but there's got to be limits, and right now there are no really intelligent ways to set those limits, so it becomes an argument in the house. And we're trying to develop a product which gives them a better tool for establishing the rules, a better tool for enforcing them, and a better way to understand how the consumption of these things matters to the children. If we go to the next slide, I'll go into it in a bit more detail. So many of the parents in our total market already have some rudimentary tools in the house, and many of them don't know it. If they have a copy of Windows, Microsoft Windows has some parental control elements built into the product, which could give them some control over the PC if they knew where it was, how to use it, and how to benefit from it. Almost every internet connected home has a router in it, and the router also has some very rudimentary tools for content control, which again the parents are not aware of and don't have the expertise to use effectively. And when it comes to the smartphones, there's very little out there to help them control what's going on. So this leads to a constant argument between the parents and the kids about what they should be doing and not doing, whether they're doing too much of it, and how they can take it away. And part of the issue is that, again, for most of our addressable market, it's not enough for a parent to say, you cannot use Facebook or you cannot have access to the internet right now, because it's cutting off the kids' social interactions and it's cutting off their ability to do homework with their online provider or get their tutor. And they can't differentiate between spending time on Facebook playing games or spending time on Facebook with their school projects with their friends or their classmates. So the plan is to create the software as a service where we have a central console for where the rules are declared, and then have agents in the house, on the PC, on the laptop, on the tablet, at the router level and other places, and in the gaming consoles and so on, that can respond to those rules. And of course, as we know, like everybody else, this is going to take a great many subscribers at a low price to be successful and well adopted, but the partners are the players who are selling these devices in the first place. When a parent walks into the cell phone store to get their child their first cell phone or their next cell phone, there is a natural conversation to be had by the vendor to say, if this cell phone is for a child, or if you're going on a family plan, would you like something so that you can control how much the child uses the phone? and get some control back into the household? And the answer has been overwhelmingly yes. It's the same thing when a parent walks into a gaming franchise, whether it's Walmart or Boutique Game, and they're buying console games, which are being bought in tremendous volumes, and their first games, their titles. There's a conversation that can be had with the parents saying, would you like to subscribe to a service that allows you to limit the amount of time spent on these games or link the amount of time spent on these games to the child's performance in school? So if the child's grades fall below a certain amount or they're not spending enough time on school projects, their time on Call of Duty or Wii U will be limited. So this is how we intend to spread around. If we can go to the next slide. We ran a poll with our screenshots just to find out the depth of this problem, and we found across a large body of North American respondents that they are having this argument in the house on a weekly or monthly basis of kids of all ages, whether they knew that they had solutions in the house for this already, and whether they would add on a few dollars a month to their internet services or their cell phone services to give parental control back to them, and the response was overwhelmingly yes. So we are looking at a $5.99 per month total cost to the parent to control all the devices in their home, and the $2.99 figure you see on the screen is based on what we will have to give up to our partners and distributors, especially if we expect them to act as fronts for service and support.
Your go-to-market strategy seems to be quite significantly anchored in these partnerships with the cell phone vendors and the gaming console vendors and so forth. Do you have any visibility into how they view such a solution? Have you talked to them?
We have talked to a cell phone provider in Canada, the leading one actually, and they have a venture fund, but they don't want to touch the fund with this until they've had some adoption. And we've talked to them about partnering with their family-oriented promotions, because they are actively promoting with about 15% of their total marketing budget to the consumer side for families to come in and be on a shared plan. And they are interested to see how this will create loyalty for them, because the way that they hope to promote it is by saying if all the devices in the home are on a shared plan and you have control over all the devices, including the internet software, it's a lead for them to sell their secondary and tertiary services, and it's a loyalty boost. We also had a conversation last year with the national cell phone company in Turkey, and they got extremely excited by this. They feel that this is going to be an easy conversation to have with their customer base, and they're waiting for us to come out with a prototype that they can beta.
But the truth is, kinds of solutions you're better off bringing to market through the United States, isn't it? Why Turkey? Why are you looking at international markets to go to and not to the U.S. market?
We didn't actually go out to those markets to find them. We were talking to people within our network just to see how it went. There are two of us in the business. I'm in Montreal, and my partner is in Washington, and he's talking to an internet and cell phone company out there as of this month, but it's a bit early to say how the negotiation is going. We also spoke to Bank of New York Mellon last year when this was still in discussion phases about whether this is something that they would want to encourage from a different perspective. Again, a different kind of partnership where they have a reason they want to talk to people in a household, and this is about teaching financial literacy, and we want to tie these electronic controls to gaming and leisure activities to their performance in school. And so, every time we talk to a partner about a new value proposition, we get to see whether they have any perspective on this problem and whether they see themselves inserting themselves into this ecosystem for the sales pitch. Having said all that, the first sales will be direct sales. Once the product is ready for beta, going through Facebook and the mom blogs and our other content partners that we're lining up, that's where we're hoping to get our first 1,000 customers. And once we have the customers who are using and paying for the software, it'll facilitate the conversations to the larger cell phone providers, cable providers, and the gaming providers in the United States.
My take would be your first 1 million customers will need to be from direct selling, and then you will get to do OEM deals. Jason, what are your thoughts?
I think so. I mean, carriers and others are just inundated with folks that want to partner with them today, right? And we, this morning, a storm company, just as an example, called Flint Mobile that does mobile payments, announced, I think, an $8 or $9 million investment by Verizon Wireless, but they've been around 2 years and have tens of thousands of customers before you get that investment and partnership, right? Having said that, if you have an ethically great team that has done this before, you'll get the meetings. But it doesn't sound like you have that. So to really attract their attention, you're probably going to need a material amount of traction to build those relationships.
Yep. Dan, you have some questions here. I haven't quite finished reading what's on the screen. So if you want to quickly summarize what the questions are, then we can maybe run through them.
Well, we have a product design and we have a value proposition. And it's early enough in the business, actually it's never too late strategically, but it's early enough in the business for us to change our channel. Going out and acquiring those first direct business-to-consumer clients, it's going to take time, and we're going to have to probably, if you want to see us getting to the first 1 million customers, we're probably going to have to go through a freemium model and see what our conversion rates, et cetera. But at the same time, there is a big content play here. We want to be partnered with the gaming companies, the cell phone companies, and the internet service providers, as well as the social media companies over the long term, because there's a necessary conversation between us and the parents and understanding what is happening with the children and their consumption of these materials. Groups like Microsoft and Ubisoft are selling to parents or to be used by the children, and they don't want to be in an adversarial conversation. So it's just as easy for us at this stage to go to the content providers first and show that as add-ons that are for sale through their product, and ignore the business-to-consumer market, depending on what the growth.
I don't like the strategy at all, because you're going to have the same chicken and egg problem. Without showing traction that parents are adopting the solution, you will not get a lot of great conversations with the content providers or the console providers or anybody. So I think it's better to create a model and not freemium, but a free trial. If it's a monthly service, you can give the first month or first 3 months for free, and then you need to get people to start paying and build up a revenue stream so that you are sustainable, so that you don't go out of business. If you have to get to 1 million customers or 500,000 customers with this model, you have to survive. You have to sustain yourself for whatever duration, whatever time it takes to get to that.
Okay. The second question is our minimum viable product is a very simple control. And when we talk to our cell phone providers, the Canadian one in particular has said that they would love to make this as part of their standard internet offering for parents. In fact, one of the smaller internet providers here is experimenting with one like this. But they want exclusivity. And this is a conversation I know that happens to many businesses of this category, but we've never come up with a good global strategy for how to deal with the conversation of exclusivity. We have come back with possibilities of saying we can give them exclusion to their sector, we can give them exclusion for a period of time so they can gain competitive advantage over their others in their marketplace. But it seems to be an almost closed conversation where once they buy the product, they want to be the only cell phone company to have this, and that's not really what we want in our long-term strategy.
Jason, would you like to take it?
Sure. Well, let's step back for a minute. Nobody's stupid in business, right? So when a partner asks you for exclusivity, they know that you cannot be their only exclusive customer for 20 years worldwide, right? No matter what they ask for, they know it's not possible. They also know that they're betting on you early and they want to benefit out of it, right? Why bet on a brand new startup that no one's heard of and take my brand equity, my user base, and expose it, and then have you go off and use that with my direct competitor? No one's going to do that either. So the real art to exclusivity is that you say no if you want to, but the real art is to give away the free ice and winter, right? The real art is to give them enough exclusivity so that they feel comfortable, but that in no way materially impacts your business. And no partner is really going to ask you to destroy their business for exclusivity. Not really.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Right. You haven't even launched. So giving somebody 12 months exclusive in Saskatchewan is not going to change your business.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Especially if they
if
want to co-invest.
can give you that first 1 million customers or first 500,000 customers, well, very good.
Yeah, and there's always nuances of exclusivity, right? I mean, you can give them a type of exclusivity or an exclusivity for a small period of time on a certain feature or functionality. But again, no partner, no matter what the initial ask for, is going to ask for something that wrecks your business. They get you have to have more than one customer. If they want you to only have one customer, they buy you.
And that may well happen if you get 1 million of their customers who are really happy, and then the discussion comes up that you're now going to go out and do partnerships with other people, and your exclusivity deal is running out. They may very well come and acquire you, which is okay, if that's what you want to do. If not, to negotiate out of it. Okay, folks, we're going to move. Dan, thank you for your presentation. Good luck. Zuhaib Khan, you're up next.
Thank you.
Zuhaib, are you there? Where is Zuhaib Khan?
I can see him.
I know. Maureen, where is Zuhaib? It was constantly popping up all this while we were talking. Okay, well, I'll let you sort that out and move to Is Alejandro on the call? I see him in the public chat. Alejandro Bermudez Ferris, are you on the call? So we're going to need to go to either Alejandro or Zuhaib. And I know both of you are international, so you're probably trying to optimize your call-in time. But Alejandro, please call in Venezuela. Zuhaib was on the line. He was popping up constantly while we were talking. Who is this?
Hello, this is Alejandro.
Alejandro, go ahead. Tell us, what are you working on?
Excellent. Hello, Samana. How are you?
All right.
Do you hear me well?
Yes, we hear you fine.
Excellent. Thank you. Hello, Jason. Thank you for your conversation. Very interesting.
Great. Good to talk with you.
Yes. Basically, my startup or what I want to speak about with you guys is born in Venezuela, in Caracas, which I'm from, and where I'm at right now. We developed a crowdfunding site for creative projects, pretty much like a Kickstarter. So for you guys, it's not going to be like a new big innovation in that sense. It's basically the same model, 5% revenue of all transactions gone. And I guess that the context is what makes this initiative interesting, more than the initiative itself. We basically go for creators, nothing new to you guys either, people with a creative project, and so far we have been having a good feedback from scientific projects, from bands, from writers, and especially from a group of students and professors at universities that are developing projects that require resources, require money, maybe not a lot of money, but money nevertheless. Our business proposition in Patrocinarte is basically, again, the same aim of crowdfunding, of raising money for a project. And basically what we have in Latin America is that we have two platforms, or one maybe, which is Ideame, that has it's more in South America, in Argentina and Chile and in Brazil. It's like in the big markets. Although we see that it doesn't have any or much local flavor to it, and for example, it doesn't operate in Venezuela, doesn't operate in Ecuador, doesn't operate in Central America at all. In Venezuela, we use it as our pilot market. Salamana, if you can go to the next slide, please.
Yep.
Thank you. And we have developed the prototype. We are actually running campaigns already. We developed very much in a garage. We haven't had any investment so far. And we're having a great relationship with the two most important or universities in Caracas, in the capital, let's say. We're helping build solar cars, drones. We're helping kids, not kids, young people go to travel abroad to the United Nations models. We have a show called Negrissimo that's going to be a very important show, very important artists, theater, publishing projects, and this is all very new. We started three months at the most ago. And if you can go to the next slide, please, Samantha. And well, the first thing we face is that crowdfunding is quite new, especially for creators. We work in a reward-based model, such as Kickstarter, pretty much. So it's not coming natural. We have to kind of work to provide a way to think about this. And I guess our customer acquisition is pretty much directed at finding people that has a lot of respect from their community, be that a musicians community, be that a university community, and get them to launch a project. So we call this a school, like special creators. They have a school, they have people who respect them a lot, who follow them a lot. And that's the way we have found to actually get this going. We have a press room that again, bootstrap. We have outsourced with our friend.
Can I ask you a couple of questions to get some specifics? How many projects have you got going on the platform at this point?
Yes, we have on edition, which means people who are working to get their project published. We have around 80 projects. We have published so far 10, which is 12. We're publishing 2 more today. And we have one success case that raised 130% of their goal, which is good, for us. And that's I guess that addressed your question, Samantha?
And are these all in Venezuela? Is this completely local offering right now, or is it a Latin America offering?
It's completely local, and actually that leads me to a point that is that we want to explore the local flavor to crowdfunding, growing by cities, basically giving licenses, not to countries, specific countries, but to specific cities. So we can have a business partner, let's say, so a cooperative partner or something like that, in, for example, República Dominicana, which is in the Caribbean, one in Central America, we're thinking Costa Rica. So we want to grow like hubs, pretty much, within cities. Because we are pretty much thinking about that. You got to have a I mean, if you drive 30 minutes and you can meet a creator, or you can go to display, or you can meet with them, you're going to be able to generate stronger relationships with the people who's actually running the campaign. And also, I mean, crowdfunding in Latin America needs to be like Latin America. In Latin America, people like to see their faces. People like to speak and to shake hands. People like to meet with other people that's doing the same. And I guess that's why Ideame, which is my the big competitor in Latin America, I don't think they have like astounding numbers. I actually think, you know, I wonder why the feedback is not that good. I mean, they have 4 years running, so and I guess it's that, you know, in Latin America we kind of need a local perspective to crowdfunding, but in a city like
I think that observation that you made, that the ability doing things locally and giving the opportunity for people to meet up locally, that actually I think is a very interesting point of view. The challenge with that is going to be how do you keep the transaction on your platform, because your business model is predicated upon people completing the transaction on your platform and you're taking a out of it. So if you facilitate them coming together and getting together, and then they get together, they develop their relationships, and then they get off the platform, how do you manage that situation? And then my other thought is that I'm not sure if I would necessarily license the platform to people in different countries or different cities and have them develop programs. I have mixed feelings about that. Jason, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I wish I had the perfect answer, as everyone does, on how to create a two-sided marketplace here. I don't know the secret sauce, but once you create liquidity in this market and solve the issues for creators, you have something of profound value. You know, I wish I had the great insights here. These ones are hard for me to figure out all the answers until you have that early bit of true traction. Because everything that is marketplace-like is exciting until you have enough transactions flowing through the marketplace.
Right. I know you have to jump up. I don't want to keep you.
I apologize. I do have to run. I wish I could help a little bit more on this. But thanks, everybody, for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Same here. Thank you.
Alejandro, a couple of points that you want to keep in mind is that this is a decision of, you know, creating a two-sided marketplace is a lot of work. And once you have a two-sided marketplace going, even if you're trying something local with one of your differentiators is to facilitate local meetings and local ability for local, you know, buyers and sellers to get together. You probably want to keep everything on the same platform, keep everything on the same brand, and licensing platforms to other business operators, I don't think serves that purpose. So I would not follow that strategy.
Excellent. Excellent. And Saramana, thank you for that, because that's one of the points that we have been actually, it's like a controversial point. So I think you're nailing in the head the issue we're having pretty much.
Okay, good. So hope that was helpful. We're going to move to Zuhaib. I think you're on the call, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Saramana.
You're welcome, Alejandro. Good luck.
Excellent. Thank you.
Go ahead, Zuhaib.
Hi. Nice meeting you all. If you can put it up first slide, yeah. So this is Zuhaib Khan.
Up a bit. It's not very, your line is not clear.
Okay, sure. So This is Zuhaib Khan, and I am calling from India. We have a venture called Shop at Places, in which we deliver authentic products from places famous for them at the doorsteps of the customers, and we try to do that at the best prices possible. So our tagline is famous places, best price. So if you want, say, right now, food products, Bandhej products from Gujarat in India, or chicken curry embroidery, which is a very famous embroidery done by artisans in Lucknow in India, or you want Kanjivaram sarees from south of India, you have to come to the Shop at Places if you do not want to travel to those places. Similarly, we want to expand this outside of India as well. So if somebody wants Italian leather jackets or Indonesian batik print furnishings, and they cannot go to those places, then they come to our brand, the Shop at Places. We have been in operation for 2 years now, and we have a profit-making enterprise right now. And so this is our website name, Shop at Places. And so I just shown 2 examples of the products that we are selling. So on the left, there is a skirt, divided skirt from Jaipur, Rajasthan. On the right, there is a Fulkari hand embroidered from Punjab. You can go to the next slide, please. So as I told you, Shop at Places is a brand as well as a platform to get these hard to find products at the best prices possible. The different thing that we are doing is we are getting these products right from where they are manufactured. So we remove all the problems that anybody has to face of availability, authenticity, or of pricing. And because we remove just so many supply chain leakages in the system, that we are able to sell our products at a much, much lower price than what you would get, say, in the physical market. So we feel that we are catering to the need of belongingness because people want such products both in India and overseas, and they are nostalgic about such products which their mothers or grandmothers own. So right now, our solution is Shop at Places. We are selling to our own portal in retail. Then we get wholesale offline queries and we give them a product. We are selling to B2B. By B2B, we mean there are some corporate orders we keep getting. Plus, there are a few websites in India and outside India. One is being in India is patterninu.com. One is, which is a little popular outside India, exclusively.in. We are selling our products under our brand to these as well. Then there are a few marketplaces in India like Amazon or Flipkart or Snapdeal. So we have started selling our products there as well. Maybe go to the next slide, please. Right now, we are for our retail portal, we are acquiring the customers through 4 channels: Facebook, Google, emails, and affiliates. Facebook is a major channel, gives us around 52% of our total customers and orders every month. So we have been good at growing this paid online marketing, but then we have not been so good in getting organic or free visitors to our site. So this is one question which I'll ask you later on. Maybe go to the next slide, please. So in terms of customer validations, we have, so the data I have used is a little old. So now we have around 6,000 plus customers who have placed more than 9,000 orders with us.
Okay.
Our average order value is rupees 1,600 per order. So, and we are doing around 18 lakh rupees per month, which is a revenue run rate of 2 crore rupees per annum. We get around unique visitors of 1 lakh per month, which would be, say, 0.1 million. Then we have registered users of 19,000, Facebook fans of 21,000. We have sold future results of 11,000 in the 9,000 orders that we have sent across. On our site, you will find 2,000 products that are live. In terms of the team, we are a team of 9 people, 2 of which are the co-founders, myself and Charto. Charto takes care of supply chain, I take care of marketing, and there is one person who is guiding us on marketing, who has a previous experience in marketing, in online marketing as such. Maybe go to the next slide, please.
Now, I have a couple of questions before you go to the next slide, Zuhaib. What is the delivery model? Are you doing cash on delivery? Do you have to run your own courier service and stuff like that? What is the back-end delivery situation?
Okay, so you are asking about how we are sending the orders from our location to the customers. In that, what we have done is we have tied up with the major courier companies in India, which are Blue Dart, FedEx, DTDC, and Javas. There are 4 domestic companies which cover almost entire India. We do both prepaid, that is credit card and debit card orders, and cash on delivery. Right now, the orders that we are getting, around 70% of them are on cash on delivery, but that part has been sorted out. Internationally, we are selling our products to customers only through FedEx, and we are able to dispatch orders in 24 hours after we get those orders. Within the entire India, we are able to deliver in 3 to 4 days. In villages and very, very small cities, we are able to deliver in 5 to 6 cities. Outside India, we are able to deliver in 3 cities in any country in the world.
And the courier companies in India are set up to do cash on delivery?
Yes, they are set up to do both cash on delivery and obviously prepaid orders.
Okay. All right.
So our questions to you are 3. First is how we should be positioning ourselves. Second will be how, because like you would have seen that we have grown or slowly over the last 2 years. So what are the growth hacks that we can try which can give us exponential rise in number of users? Then how can we become the top of the mind for such regional or local or handcrafted products from different places?
Now, where are you getting the traction from? Have you analyzed the customer base to understand where is the sweet spot of your customer base?
So the analysis that we have done makes us believe that right now our target customer is 30 plus in age. She's female and she's majorly from south of India, only because we are doing lots of marketing south of India and we are doing that because right now we have products mostly from north and east of India, which are not at all available in south of India. So we feel that this is the customer profile which is emerging. And most of these customers have come from Facebook, where we run ads to make them come to our site.
Okay. So, from a positioning point of view, from a customer acquisition point of view, one of the things that it sounds like it's clear is that if you go for and then the next question, actually, there's one other question that you need to look into is it an urban customer or is it a slightly suburban customer? Is it a Bangalore, Hyderabad customer or a Chennai customer, or is it a slightly off-center customer like a I don't know, Coimbatore maybe, or something that is not such a huge cosmopolitan urban hub kind of place?
Right now we get around 24% of our orders every month from the city of Bangalore. Then the 3 other major cities from where we get our orders are Mumbai, Hyderabad, Chennai, and Pune. So all of these are metro cities, if you can call, except Pune.
Okay. So Pune is also a metro city. At this point, Pune is a very large metro city. So, okay, in that case, it sounds like you're catering to urban customers, and you're catering to over 30 urban women in Bangalore. It sounds is one of the positionings. So, in terms of how you message and how you solicit those customers, you need to figure out what are the touch points of reaching this 30-plus woman in Bangalore.
Okay.
And you're doing Facebook right now. I imagine you're doing targeted advertising on Facebook focused on Bangalore, yeah?
Yes.
What are the other channels for acquiring those customers? I think Facebook actually is a very, very good way to get to that customer, because it is one of the only places through which you can target that sharply into. If you want to go for the 30-plus woman in Bangalore, you can do that through Facebook, which is probably your best bet. And I would say in terms of your go-to-market strategy going forward, I would kind of go a bit city by city, because the word of mouth spreads better.
Okay.
So if for the moment, if Bangalore is where you're getting a lot of traction, given your limited budget, why don't you really go deeply into Bangalore so that the word of mouth starts to flow?
Okay.
That's a major kind of positioning experiment I would do is, can you do city by city so that, because if one person buys in Bangalore, another person buys in Bombay, the word of mouth doesn't really take effect. But if you can get a critical mass of, let's say, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 customers in Bangalore, and they will then, start to do some, start to talk about you, discuss your product, and the word of mouth in Bangalore will spread, and your Bangalore business is going to get much bigger. And so do it, instead of spray and pray, do it one by one.
Okay.
That would be the major growth hack that I would do right now.
Okay, that is fine. Thanks a lot.
The same strategy, I think, addresses all three questions you have here.
Yes. So we are majorly looking at some growth hack in which we are able to, move ahead of the paid online marketing, because we are seeing that when we are doing paid online marketing,
activate word of mouth. You need to use your paid online marketing budget to activate word of mouth, and the best way to do that would be to really go into one community and really deeply go into that community.
Okay. Thanks for that. And one more question coming from here. Would you recommend us to go into, say, physical, stores in Bangalore, activating those customers in Bangalore physically as well? Should we have a physical presence in Bangalore if we are focusing on Bangalore?
Well, it becomes cumbersome, from an execution point of view, it becomes cumbersome. If you can make this work on an online basis, and if you can get the combination of online and online sharing, natural, organic, social sharing on Facebook, and the actual, ensuing word of mouth, the scaling is going to be so much faster. You will never be able to reach that kind of scaling by physically talking to stores and going to stores and all that.
Okay. Thanks a lot for that.
Try this first and see what happens.
Sure. We'll come back to you.
Okay. All right, folks. That concludes the presentations from the entrepreneurs. I'll spend a few minutes giving you an overview of how to use 1M1M. And before I do that, my request to you is, if you like what we are doing here, please refer 1M1M to serious entrepreneurs in your network who really want to stay with the project and build a serious company over several years. As you heard earlier on in the show, if you give up, you will never build a successful business. So we are looking for people who have the tenacity, the resilience to hold on and keep executing and keep going. So, as you know, 1 Million by 1 Million is the first and only global virtual incubator accelerator in the world. Everything is at 1mby1m.com. You can start with the blog, which is a very rich, deep amount of resources in the blog. You can learn a lot just from following the blog. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series now has 10 books, including the latest, Carnival in the Cloud, which we are launching this month. And each of them have a selection of case studies, and they teach you about certain aspects of entrepreneurship. And the format is exactly the same. It uses case studies and then essays and analysis to help you understand specific topics in the technology entrepreneurship world. The blog is at shravanamitra.com, and this is what the site looks like, by the way. There are tons of videos that will help answer your questions as well. These roundtables happen every week. This is our 235th roundtable. We're getting close to 30,000 people in terms of people who have attended these sessions. You can register for a free roundtable to whether to pitch or to attend at the Free Republic Roundtable page, which has all the registration links. In addition, we have a premium program that is a $1,000 annual membership fee. We offer extensive methodology guidance, curriculum, business development, strategy consulting, and we offer you help with financing and media relations. So we help you with introductions to customers, channel partners, investors, media, analysts, whatever will help you move forward in your journey. The $1 Million Club exposes you to some of our successful entrepreneurs. Quantifying the equation, the 1M1M value equation, gives you an ROI analysis of what you get for $1,000. You get $375,000 worth of value plus 5 to 10% equity. That whole value proposition or value equation is available for just $1,000 annual membership fee. We do not charge any equity, and that is a fantastic deal in the incubation acceleration world. And we particularly designed it so that we can work with a very broad number of entrepreneurs all over the world. We give you orientation material and how to use 1M1M effectively. Please go through that. That will help you understand how to navigate the program. The self-assessment is something we recommend that you test your business on, because this is something, these are questions that you should ask yourselves, and these are questions if you go out to investors, they will ask you. The premium program, how to, what to expect from the program, how to evaluate. All the FAQs are available on the site. You can, you pretty much can get all your questions answered, but beyond that, if you have more questions, I will introduce you to Irina Patterson in a moment. The curriculum we deliver in case studies and video lectures. We've been inviting serious, successful entrepreneurs who've built sizable businesses, including, as you saw, Jason today has been in that program as well. People who have come and shared their journeys and their learnings, which we are bringing to you in form of this video lectures and case study-based curriculum. We've had over 600 successful entrepreneurs help us build this curriculum, and it's really powerful. It works great. We have lots of entrepreneurs who have used it, are using it, and getting tremendous value out of it. So we are very confident at this point about the value we offer in the program through this curriculum. The core curriculum has 7 topics and many sub-modules under those topics. Those are bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, and team building. And then there are a variety of electives that include Web 3.0 and e-commerce, cloud computing and business solutions, mobile and social apps, outsourcing and consulting, healthcare IT, online education, etc. We have women entrepreneurs, how to build unicorn companies, all kinds of different topics where we drill down and offer you case studies as well as specific methodology guidance on those particular topics. Our methodology is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups. Even if you raise money, and many of you will raise money, we're perfectly fine with that. We will help you raise money. But entrepreneurs typically have to build a business before they can raise money. So you have to bootstrap your way to a business with some traction before investors engage. And this is true even about seed investors. And that just is the reality of the market today. So you have to keep that reality in mind and navigate your bootstrapping chapter of the journey. We do a lot of work in the media. We have a lot of clout in the media, and we help you get coverage through our clout in the media. So please feel free to look at the press page and the coverage of the 1M1M premium members to get a feel for that. We also let you use our social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, everything, so that you can get tons of propagation and proliferation of your message through our social media channels. Same with the blog. You will get to publish on the blog to get your message out there. We do have an affiliate program, and those of you who are interested in partnering with us anywhere in the world are welcome to reach out. We'll be happy to partner with you. Upcoming free roundtables pretty much every week, every Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific time. We go until Thanksgiving. Right after November 20th is the last roundtable before Thanksgiving, and then we have several others before Christmas still. So this year there's still another, good 6-8 roundtables left. Vision India 2020 is an ideation book particularly suited for developing economies. I know many of you are attending from various parts of the emerging markets. And Vision India 2020 is not just India. You will find these business ideas, $45 billion business ideas that we've published in the Vision India book, applicable to many of the other developing markets as well. And these are ideas you can steal, morph, whatever you want to do with them, and we'll be happy to help you build upon them in the program. The 1M1M Incubator in a Box is our platform that we work with various companies, corporations, investors, governments, schools, entrepreneurship development organizations to help them expand or launch their own incubation programs. And we have a lot of partners, especially corporate partners in this arena. Carnival in the Cloud is the book that we are launching this month, so please check it out. It has 15 great case studies and stories of entrepreneurs who have built cloud businesses, sizable cloud businesses, including some unicorn companies, and you have a lot to learn from them. Huge, huge, huge amounts to learn from them. And the book that we launched last month is From E-commerce to Web 3.0, again, another 15 great case studies of people who have built awesome e-commerce businesses. So these are entrepreneurs you have a lot to learn from. These are quick reads, in 200-300 pages. You'll have a very, very powerful learning experience just by reading these books. And it's basically, these books simulate the experience of sitting down with one of these entrepreneurs and having a cup of coffee. So it's a, relatively short, maybe 7 to 10 page interview, which essentially simulates that experience of sitting down with one of these people and learning from them directly. And it's not available anywhere else in the world to have that experience. You're not going to be meeting these people in your daily life. So this is a simulation of that experience that I think it's very valuable for you to have that experience as entrepreneurs. Okay, folks, we have 7 minutes of Q&A time left. We can take calls, and we can also take questions from public chat. So do not send me private questions. This is a public chat, but feel free to ask questions in public chat. I'll pick them up and try to answer as many as possible. And if you would like to call in, you're welcome to do that as well. The instructions are on your screen. Let us know if you're calling in. Anybody else? Questions, comments? Shravani is asking how to lose the fear of losing to competition and continue with the idea. Shravani, there is a chapter in Entrepreneur Journeys Volume 2, Bootstrapping Weapon of Mass Reconstruction. It's the last chapter of that book, which deals with how to overcome the fear of failure. Take a look at that. It's, I think you will find that helpful. Anybody else? All entrepreneurs will have to overcome the fear of failure. But that's just part of really getting control over your mind and the, and the games that your mind plays when it's afraid. And fear is a part of the entrepreneurial journey, that you have to overcome that fear. Not just fear of failure, not just fear of losing to competition, just fear in general. It's a nerve game, entrepreneurship is a nerve game. Anybody else? Questions, comments, thoughts? While you're thinking about it, let me also introduce you to Irina Patterson, whom you can call if you have questions about the program. Her phone number is 786-301-2456. Email is irina@1m1m.com, and Skype is irina_Patterson. We'll be happy to talk to any of you. Shravani, the trick when you feel fear is to learn how to put one foot before the other. Our emphasis in the 1M1M program is entirely on how to put one foot before the other. You cannot solve all the problems at once, but today given your set of cards, given what you're dealing with, if you can make progress in solving some of those problems and tomorrow you are a little bit further along than you were today, that is a very good way of dealing with fear of failure. And that's what we try to keep you focused on in the program by giving you very, very good, solid blueprints of how to do exactly that, how to solve problems, how to put one foot before the other. Anybody else? Questions, comments? No? In that case, we will wrap up for today, folks. We'll be back here next week and work with more of your concepts and businesses and strategize and hopefully help you make a little bit of progress in your journeys. Thank you for coming and good luck with all your projects. Bye, everybody.